Hello and welcome. There have been 46 American presidents to date. Of these, 29 have had military experience. So too have many members of Congress and the Senate. Presidents who previously served in the Army include Dwight D. Eisenhower, Ulysses S. Grant, and George Washington. Those who served in the Navy include Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, and Richard Nixon. Presidents who previously served as pilots in the military include George H.W. Bush, a naval aviator, and Ronald Reagan from the Army Air Corps. Some claim that this is a good thing as military service is honourable. Republican John Sidney McCain was one who can claim honourable service. McCain was a United States aviator who, upon retirement as a captain in 1981, was elected to the House of Representatives in 1982, where he served for 2 terms. In 1986, he was elected to the US Senate, succeeding the 1964 Republican presidential nominee and conservative Barry Goldwater. McCain won re-election 5 times. While generally adhering to Republicans' conservative principles, McCain also gained a reputation as a maverick for his willingness to break from his party on certain issues. McCain entered the race for the Republican nomination for president in the year 2000, but lost a heated primary season contest to Governor George W. Bush of Texas.
Well, it's kind of politics, and John and I shook hands, and we said we were going to run ads, and I kind of smiled my way through the early primaries and got defined. I'm not going to let it happen again. And we shook hands, and unfortunately, he ran an ad that equated me to Bill Clinton. He questioned my trustworthiness.
Are you saying he broke the agreement with you?
I'm just saying you can disagree on issues. We'll debate issues. But whatever you do, don't equate my integrity and trustworthiness to Bill Clinton. That's about as low a blow as you can give in the Republican primary.
And that's what got you mad to sort of fight back.
Well, I stand by my ads.
You wouldn't change any.
No, I stand by what I'm trying to do. I mean, when the man says that I'm spending all the surplus on tax cuts and it's not true, I'm going to define what reality is.
Senator McCain, did you break a promise?
Well, let me tell you what happened. There was an ad run against me. We ran a counter ad in New Hampshire. Governor Bush took the ad down, and then I was beat up very badly by all of his surrogates, called Clinton light, called a hypocrite. I mean, you've seen, here in South Carolina, you've seen it. Turn on the radio, turn on the television, and unfortunately now pick up the telephone, and you'll hear a negative attack against John McCain. But let me tell you what really went over the line.
He secured the Republican presidential nomination in 2008, beating fellow candidates Mitt Romney and Mike Huckabee, though he lost the general election to Barack Obama. In 2016, he refused to support then Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. McCain was at times a vocal critic of Trump's administration after his win. McCain referred to a room full of Trump supporters as crazies.
John McCain goes, "Oh boy, Trump makes my life difficult." He had 15,000 crazies show up. Crazies. He called them all crazy. I said, they weren't crazy. They were great Americans. These people, if you would have seen these people, I know what crazy is. I know all about crazies. These weren't crazy. So he insulted me, and he insulted everybody in that room. And I said, somebody should run against John McCain, who has been, in my opinion, not so hot. And I supported him. I supported him for president. I raised $1 million for him. It's a lot of money. I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that, because I don't like losers. But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Do you agree with that?
He's a war hero because he was captured, okay? You can have, and I believe perhaps he's a war hero, but
all well and good, but we're here to talk about McCain, the aviator. Following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather, McCain entered the United States Naval Academy. McCain did well in academic subjects that interested him, but studied only enough to pass subjects such as mathematics. He came into conflict with authority and did not always obey the rules. His class ranking in the exams was 894 out of 899. At Pensacola, he completed flight school in 1960 and became a naval pilot of ground attack aircraft. He was assigned to A-1 Sky Raider squadrons aboard the aircraft carriers USS Intrepid and USS Enterprise in the Caribbean and the Mediterranean seas. McCain was rated a subpar flyer who was at times careless and reckless. During the early to mid-1960s, 2 of his flight missions crashed and the 3rd mission collided with power lines. His aviation skills did improve over time. McCain requested a combat assignment and was assigned to the aircraft carrier USS Forrestal, flying A-4 Skyhawks. His combat duty began when he was 30 years old in mid-1967, when Forrestal was assigned to a bombing campaign, Operation Rolling Thunder, during the Vietnam War. Stationed in the Gulf of Tonkin, McCain and his fellow pilots became frustrated by micromanagement from Washington, and he later wrote, "In Orkanda, we thought our civilian commanders were complete idiots who didn't have the least notion of what it took to win the war." On July 29, 1967, McCain was a lieutenant commander when the Forrestal fire occurred. He escaped from his burning jet and was trying to help another pilot escape when a bomb exploded, showering him with fragments. The ensuing fire killed 134 sailors and took 24 hours to control. McCain volunteered for assignment with the USS Oriskany, another aircraft carrier employed in Operation Rolling Thunder. He was flying his 23rd bombing mission over North Vietnam in October 1967 when his A-4E Skyhawk was shot down by a missile over Hanoi. McCain fractured both arms and a leg when he ejected from his aircraft and nearly drowned after he parachuted into a lake. McCain was then transported to the infamous Hanoi Hilton. Here he spent 6 weeks in the hospital where he received marginal care, losing 23 kilo and his hair turning white. In March 1968, he was placed into solitary confinement where he remained for 2 years. In mid-1968, his father, John S. McCain Jr., was named commander of all US forces in the Vietnam theatre, and the North Vietnamese offered McCain early release because they wanted to appear merciful for propaganda purposes and also to show other POWs that elite prisoners were willing to be treated preferentially. McCain refused repatriation unless every man taken in before him was also released. He later wrote, "I had learned what we all learned over there. Every man has his breaking point. I had reached mine." McCain refused to meet various anti-war groups seeking peace in Hanoi, wanting to give neither them or the North Vietnamese a propaganda victory. In 1972, American Jane Fonda met with 7 American POWs and later said they all asked her to tell their friends and family to support presidential candidate George McGovern. They feared they'd never be freed during a Richard Nixon administration. The action that still enrages veterans most was the photograph of Fonda with North Vietnamese troops on an anti-aircraft gun that would have been used to shoot down American planes. McCain was a prisoner of war in North Vietnam for 5.5 years until his release on March 14, 1973, along with 108 other prisoners of war. He was rehabilitated by late 1974 and his flight status was reinstated. In 1976, he became commanding officer of a training squadron that was stationed in Florida. McCain retired from the Navy as a captain on April 1, 1981. Helped by McCain's efforts in 1995, the US normalised diplomatic relations with Vietnam. In August 1999, McCain's memoir, Faith of My Fathers, co-authored with Mark Salter, was published. In May 2022, in response to US support for Ukraine during the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, Russia officially placed a ban on 3 deceased US senators, including McCain, who would be denied entry in the future to Russia. Go figure. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notify bell.